Welcome to the Tribes Talk on the Game podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Fielder, joined alongside Ethan Jade. And of course, college football finally over, sadly.
Sadly.
I feel a little depressed now. I'm not going to lie, I feel a little sad. Last game was Monday? Tuesday?
Monday.
Alabama losing to Clemson. And when I mean losing, I mean...
Route.
Not having a chance all game. Final score 44-16. Trevor Lawrence, really good at football.
I think that pick six that started in the beginning of the game, I think that's what really set the
That
tone
pick
for the
six
whole
on
game.
the first drive of the game
Yeah.
just completely changed any momentum Alabama had, and it didn't help that their best player, Tua Tagovailoa, is still battling this ankle injury that he's had since like week 8 of the regular season. I expected Alabama to win. I'm not gonna lie. I said it on the podcast, I said it throughout winter break.
Yeah.
Alabama's gonna win. There's no one who could stop them. I didn't think Clemson had a chance, and I still didn't think Clemson had a chance up until the third quarter when they were up by like 35.
And that was the biggest loss for under Saban since he was in the NFL.
It's been probably the biggest loss in Nick Saban's career.
Yeah.
Not even just the biggest loss when he's been with Alabama. It's probably been the biggest loss of his career. Just completely outmatched by a true freshman quarterback.
Especially with how talented Alabama is. It's shocking to see a 44-16 score.
Oh, in terms of pure talent, Alabama might be the best football team in the world. Arguably one of the best of all time. I mean, we're talking guys who are going to make the NFL. We're talking guys who are going to be getting paid millions of dollars for the rest of their lives because they're really good at football. And honestly, Alabama would probably win that game 9 times out of 10.
It'll be interesting. Trevor Lawrence, it's him being a freshman, where he has 2 more years. It's going to be interesting to see
Trevor Lawrence is always an interesting case because there's a lot of talk on Twitter following the game that when he was in high school, him and his parents seemed really set on him getting his degree. So there's a chance that he stays for 3 more seasons. It doesn't leave until he's completely graduated. Which, if he stays until senior season, watch out college football. There's a chance that Clemson, with someone like Trevor Lawrence, could win 4 national championships.
Be the next Alabama.
I hate to say it, but they could win 4 national championships. He's that good. I've been watching college football for upwards of 10 years now. I have not seen a true freshman quarterback play as well as he has and on the biggest stage you can play on against one of the best defenses in the country. It's completely surprising. I mean, other scores around college football, at least for the big games, no one cares about, Troy and North Texas. I don't know if that was a bowl game, but Texas defeating Georgia 28-21 in the Sugar Bowl. Ohio State defeating Washington 28-23 in the Rose Bowl. And UCF's winning streak coming to an end, finally. 40-32 lost LSU. Yeah, I'm a UCF fan. A little sad.
That one loss was Georgia. I think that was a pretty shocking loss, especially at how good Georgia has been this season too.
Georgia has been amazing this season.
Especially when they played Alabama.
They probably should have beaten Alabama. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing that you lose that one game and then it all kind of spirals down because they were, up by 14 against Alabama?
Yeah.
They had Jalen Hurts coming in, and you think at that point the game's over. And, Alabama claws back, battles back, wins. Other scores,
Florida's back. Florida's back.
I'm not going to call Florida back yet because the same thing happened to Miami last year. But Florida is good. Florida is damn good. 41-15 win over Michigan in the Peach Bowl. That's an amazing game, and they completely dominated every part of the game. Just the beginning of the game, it felt like Michigan didn't belong in the big stage. I guess Michigan State didn't either, but and then the 2 playoff games, obviously Alabama defeating Oklahoma 45-34, the Kyler Murray run over in the playoffs. Kyler Murray is really good.
Heisman.
He won Heisman. He's deserving of it too. Tua battled all season, but can't beat Kyler. And then Clemson defeating your Notre Dame.
Sadly.
30-3. But don't feel too bad because
Alabama had a worse loss.
I don't know if you I don't know if you catch the Miami Wisconsin Pinstripe Bowl. A nice 35-3 drubbing to the hands of Wisconsin in New York City in a baseball stadium. Not a loss you want to have on your resume. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that game. I don't want to say anything about that game. I almost want to go back to the national championship because that's going to be the biggest topic. And just Alabama just didn't look like they had an answer to whatever Clemson threw at them.
I thought some of their play calls were a bit off, too, especially the fake field goal. I just thought that was...
Yeah, that fake field goal was definitely a weird call. You could tell that you could tell that Clemson was lining up in an actual defensive package, and you run out there with a fake field goal and have your kicker try to block first-round draft picks in the NFL, guys who weigh 285 pounds of pure muscle. I don't know if that's the greatest idea, but I guess that's why I'm not a head coach and not a special teams coach and even not an offensive coach. But it looked like at one point Alabama was playing just not to lose. They weren't playing to win. They didn't look aggressive at all.
Mm-mm.
And I think the biggest topic throughout the game was, when do you bring in Jalen Hurts? Because last year... let's bring back last season. Georgia handling Alabama in the national championship. Jalen Hurts, the starter at that point. They bring in true freshman Tua Tagovailoa for his first game, and he completely dominates Georgia to win. It almost felt like they were going to do the exact same thing to Clemson, didn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously that didn't happen. Clemson had an answer for whatever Alabama threw their way.
What shocked me is that they had Tua in the whole game. But, if you look at the majority game, and if you look at their Georgia game, they had Jalen Hurts when they were down by such a big margin, and that's what he kind of helped them.
Yeah, I think the issue is that...
And they didn't do that during...
You could tell that Tua just wasn't healthy enough. You could tell that he was still kind of hobbling on that ankle injury that he suffered. I believe in not the first Georgia game, it might have actually been the LSU game, where he got kind of a hard tackle on his ankle. He's been in a walking boot since. He plays with heavy ankle braces, and it just felt like you almost should have just started Jalen Hurts. Because Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. Jalen Hurts is a great person, and he's an even better quarterback. And it felt like if you want to try to win this game, you have to throw whatever you can and hope it sticks. And I think just Nick Saban got complacent. He thought that Tua could have let him back, and Tua was playing well at points, but he just couldn't bring it all together. I don't know if it's just he wasn't ready. If it was an injury, I couldn't tell you because I'm not in the locker room. I'm not in the film meetings. I'm not in any of that, so I couldn't tell you the exact cause, but it felt rushed almost. And it felt like you sit here and you're trying to play and you're just trying to claw back, but you're not trying to win.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like they got into too much of a hole. And it was kind of the same thing that happened to UCF against LSU, is they were down by 14, and then you're forced to claw back. So now you have to score one touchdown, and then you have to force a turnover. Then you have to get another touchdown. Then only then are you tied. So it felt like they were just kind of getting complacent. They were getting lazy almost.
Yeah. Until the very end.
Yeah, and then I want to touch to one more thing before we end this. Clemson's wide receiver, Justin Ross.
Oh my God.
He was making catches that I don't think I've seen NFL players make in 20 years.
Him in a national championship and in a playoff game, he was making just constantly.
And in case you're a college football fan, you want to get scared a little bit, both Trevor Lawrence and Justin Ross are true freshmen. There's 2 more years of both of them, at least. And as a Miami fan, I'm worried. We don't play Clemson in the next 2 seasons.
We do.
Luckily.
At home.
But we might reach them in the conference championship. Almost certainly will if we make it. And I don't want to play them. I'm just going to be completely honest right now. I wouldn't want to play Clemson.
No.
Neutral site, home, away, I wouldn't want to play them. They're a talented team. They're a deep team. I mean, you talked about earlier in the season, you lose Trevor Lawrence to an injury, and you have to bring in Chase Bryce. I don't think most college football fans have even heard of Chase Bryce. And he beats Syracuse, was it? Syracuse. He beats Syracuse. And I felt like that almost started it all. And then Justin Ross, of course, in the national championship, he was making catches that I haven't seen Jerry Rice make. He was on the sideline, he was bobbling it up, he was tossing it over defenders. It looked like he was playing with like little kids. And it looked like he was almost toying with them. So, if you have anything to add to anything about the national championship, anything about Notre Dame's slapping to
Notre Dame played well in the first quarter.
Notre Dame didn't play bad for the first part of the game, and it felt like it was going to be closer than it was.
And then we lost one of our star cornerbacks, and I think that's kind of where it went downhill. And then once he came in, they didn't score very much.
And then it felt the same as the other playoff game, Oklahoma. Yeah. Except the other way around. Oklahoma didn't start off well at all. They were down 21 points at halftime. They looked like the plane didn't arrive.
They looked horrible.
And Kyler Murray, one of the best quarterbacks in football, as we mentioned earlier, he's going to the NFL draft. He didn't look like he was there. Mm-hmm. And then the second half, they turned it all around. They only lose by 11 points. It looked like at one point they could have came back and won the football game. They were just all over the place in the second half. It was not the same with Notre Dame. They were all over the place in the first half. They looked fine in the first half. It looked like at one point they could have come back and won the football game. Obviously, then losing players and just I don't think being ready for the big stage.
No. And a lot of their offenders, I think, ended up getting injured by the Clemson.
And also, Ian Book, this was kind of his first big game. He came into the Miami game last season, but it was kind of a forced move, and he was almost immediately taken out of the football game. So it felt like he just wasn't ready for the big stage.
No.
And I think next year...
Well, I think he'll be better next year, especially with the offseason, the focus being on him and not Wimbush and the quarterback battle. And that.
Yeah, people fail to realize that Wimbush was supposed to be the start of the season. And it wasn't supposed to be Book. And then just Wimbush struggled for quite a few weeks. He just didn't look like a college football quarterback. So he's going to transfer out. So it is going to be the Ian Book show next year. We'll cover, we'll have a full podcast on next season's expectations. And then the other thing is, I didn't want college football to end.
No.
I'm already counting down the days. I think we're at 232.
Yeah.
Until the first college football game of next season. 232 days. That week one's going to be amazing, but that's here nor there. Florida, Miami. I think there's also Alabama, Duke. So watch out for Alabama scoring 100 points on Duke. Alabama doesn't go down quietly.
Except to the Citadel in the first half.
Yeah, that was another funny moment. But, of course, Alabama's fine. Yeah. No one thinks Alabama's dynasty is over. No one thinks Alabama's going to lose a football game. They're fine. And next season they'll be fine. Clemson might be better. But, I'm just excited for the future of college football. And just this bowl season was absolutely amazing. For Ethan Jane, I'm Kevin Fielder, and thanks for tuning in to Tribe Talks
on the game.